Oh, yeah. Welcome to part 2, Mr. McMahon. Let's get to it.
Spears and Steinberg.
You know what the it is?
Aries and Andy. Chew and the jerk.
You know it's time to get this work.
The real raw, gutter, uncut, cold. No political corrections.
Always sleep.
Being awoke. We discuss politics and jokes.
Cry, we lit.
There's levels to this shit. Before you was on your mama.
Aries Spears don't give a fuck.
We talk about race a lot, racism. Much love to my loyal bag holders.
Rollers, loaders.
We got them in the folders.
The whole world on our shoulders.
Spears and Steinberg.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to pull that back out of retirement. It's starting to feel good again.
You should, because there's going to be a lot of. I think there's a lot of people who have been watching this. It's a popular doc, so you should pull it out.
You know what it does, too? It actually does clear my throat of phlegm. So it's going to be weird when I'm going down on a chick, and I'm like, ooh, yeah. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm just trying to clear my throat.
Is there somebody that you haven't done that you want to bring back, though? That you have done, but you just dropped them because you so many years ago? No one?
Yeah, dude, Bobcat, go away.
That's the one you would like
I'm
to
telling you, dude, when my voice, that's like when I used to do Eddie Murphy and my was on point because I could hit them notes. Dude, when my voice was, I would murder Bobcat, go away. Let me see it. How did the police academy movie? Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
Because of the high pitch.
Yeah, but I used to kill Bobcat, go away, dude. All right. So episode 3, I want to ask, and you know a lot of dudes do this. Is it better when these lawsuits come up? Is it better to settle out of court, even though to some people it makes you look like you're hiding something? Because if you're innocent, why settle? Fight it.
Yeah, but it costs a lot of money, and then you get drugged through the press, and then there's more press, and it's more press, and it stays out there longer and longer and longer. So it's. I think that's one of the reasons why people will settle. Not to mention what you just said. If you're innocent, you fight it. But if they're guilty, why would you settle? So it leaves the doubt in between on each one.
Yeah, but and again, I know the goal is not to just be spending money. You want to try to stop the bleeding as quickly as possible. But when you're Vince McMahon and you're bordering billionaire status, you ain't like it. The cost is gonna you got a tin cup now.
Yeah, but the longer it stays in the press, like when you go.
Oh, that's probably more important.
And then everything that you've done in life that they can find is going to come out in a court trial.
Jesus, man.
So everything,
dirty.
Everything that you've done is going to come out. And some girl that you might have broken up with, and she didn't, maybe you. Who knows what you could have done that would upset someone that you're in a consensual relationship with, that they would come back and say, I never said he could do that, and he did this. And, you don't know you don't know what you're opening when you do that.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry to the white delegation of listeners, but I got to do this because I call it as I see it, and I've seen it too much. Whether it's Woodstock, that not the original Woodstock, but when they redid it, and we talked about it on the pod. Whether it's celebrations after your teams win games. I just said, man, this episode solidified for me, episode 4. That destruction and mayhem, it's just in white people's DNA. It's in y'all's nature. Like, I know there are black people who like wrestling, and I know that there are certain black people like Leroy Furious. There's some out there that like that wild shit. But hitting people with chairs, throwing people into flaming trash cans, jumping off turnbuckles and slamming into tables. Whoa! Breaking through, flipping over, mosh pits. It's just something about mayhem that speaks to the heart of young white men. Again, you might see a Where's Waldo, Where's Willie in certain situations that predominantly white folks are involved in. There's going to be a Where's Willie somewhere. But for the most part, White people, boy. Y'all, white men in particular, just, it's in your DNA, mayhem, chaos, destruction, violence. You just love it.
Yeah.
You love it.
It's being free, man.
Oh.
But you know, when you say mosh pit, there's punk bands and there's black punk bands. There's always been.
I know there's white tigers. Yeah.
They're not just tigers. It's where you fit, and you fit in certain things for different reasons.
But there's a reason why I'm saying instead of Waldo, Willie.
Yeah.
There's always going to be the exception. So there's going to be a Willie somewhere amongst the white people. But God damn it, that's just not culturally who we are in terms of a mass majority.
Yes,
Black people aren't into destruction and mayhem. Now I could hear some of the white people, well, look at the news or read the newspaper. In Chicago, kill each other at an alarming rate. So you know what I mean.
No, and you don't have to use Chicago, but you could say, hey, when there was the BLM riots, it was destruction and mayhem.
But let's do the math. There wouldn't be that if there wasn't that other thing popping off.
I understand, but you can't eliminate one and not say the other. Say what you're saying. I got what you're saying.
But the math though, cops ain't killing, ain't going through Quick Trip and stealing cookies.
I would say that culturally it happens on both sides, but it happens for different reasons on both sides.
Okay.
That's how I would say it, because culturally I agree with you. Yes, young white men can be very can be very aggressive, can get very testosterone driven. Yeah.
I wonder what the black version of woo is.
I don't know.
Like when we wild out in packs, we don't go, when we hear woo, you know that's white boys. What is the black version of woo? That's a good trivia question.
Yeah, that's
to the black listeners. Help me out on that. I'm putting the black and milds and the pump and the sunflower seeds in the air. Meet me on the roof. I want to know what's our version of woo when we wilding out.
No, there you go.
Yeah, I like that. Black and milds and sunflower seeds. What else is some nigga shit? I'm putting do-rags is 290s.
Murray's hair care.
Oh, you went further back than that. You went to the 70s, nigga. I
went to what I used.
Right. As a hardcore Tyson fan, seeing Tyson in wrestling meant to me. Again, because I'm going, it's fake. And two, I only want to see Mike Tyson if he's in the ring fighting. Like when they showed Mike Tyson, and I know Dennis Rodman and certain other athletes, Shaq at one point, Floyd Mayweather, and Muhammad Ali, and it's part of the theater. But damn, dude, Mike, yo. You knock out, that's what you do. You're in the ring, but you ain't, you. Come on, man, that hurt my heart. That if Mike's gonna be in the ring, knock a nigga out. Fake pushes. That's ridiculous.
So you didn't. So that bothered you. Did it bother you when you saw Mike?
Yeah, man. Because and this was around the time Mike kind of was pretty much retired, but he still had his youth. He still, he ain't what he is now. So it's like a tease, man. You gonna pull your out, but I can't him. Like, come on, Mike, put some gloves on, nigga. Put the black shorts on, the black shoes with no socks. Put the towel on, nigga. Let's go.
If I was one of those wrestlers and I saw Tyson walk in with the no socks, shorts on, the towel cut out for his head, I would have left the ring. I would have just left the ring.
Man, son.
I would have got on the ladder, jumped off, fell on the table, and left the ring.
Yeah, and now we're at that note, but we already talked about it. Where I was going to say earlier when I was like, 1 minute I'm with it, 1 minute I'm not. But yeah, we covered that. They talked about how the women, and this is, I'm sorry, ladies, but this is where I have my, and just so you know, just how I just wanted the white community, the white delegation. Now I got to go with the delegation, and we've covered this a little bit. But women, what do you want? Because y'all talk out of both sides of your neck. When they were talking about how women as eye candy via wrestling objectification, and some of the things that Vince McMahon would do, some of the storylines, practically showing moments where they're ripping women's tops off. It's like women are to be respected, no question. Always. I got a daughter. I got 2 daughters. I got a mother. I got baby mamas. I respect women. But ladies, stop denying what is natural, which is you are eye candy to men. Y'all always gonna be that. And we can still respect you and treat you right, but stop acting like that is a bad thing. You have parts of you that jiggle when you move. You got curves. You got softer skin. You smell better. You got, you know what I mean? Like legs, calves, lips, hips. That's part of your makeup. Embrace it. As long as we're not being disrespectful or breaking any laws, what is the problem, ladies? You are meant to be objectified to a degree.
First of all, let me just say this way, because I think that I don't know that I hear people say it this way. This is the hardest part for men. Women don't move as a monolith either. Women are different. Some women want to use what their God-given gifts are. Some women, it's brains, and they want to be seen as brains. They want to be seen as intelligent, as an equal. There's other women that enjoy the idea that they are attractive, and they want to use those abilities to be attractive, to be looked at, to be
good girls,
and get the benefit of that. But as men, we have to figure out how to move through that. This is the part that becomes difficult. And some women are one, and other women are another. And then there's people that are, let's go with the women that are in the middle. So, and then the people in the middle can even be more difficult, because the people on one end, we know who they are. But the people in the middle sometimes want to have it, like you just said, both sides of their neck. It's because they want to be thought of as a brain when they feel they should be a brain, and they should be beautiful when they're beautiful, when they feel that they should be beautiful. And we have to navigate all that. And we are really a simple creature, and it is hard for us to navigate that. That is hard for us to navigate. I know people are going to say it shouldn't be that hard. We're simple. We're simple. We're so simple. We find beauty in beauty, and we see it that it's beautiful and go, hey, that is beautiful. If we need somebody who is caring, and we have a cut and they bring us over a Band-Aid, hey, you are like a nurse. You're like the Red Cross. You're coming to take care of us. Thank you. If you are whatever you are, we are very simple and appreciative of that. I don't want to get into it any deeper. It's just that it's not easy for us to navigate what you feel, and at the time that you feel that you want to be that, for us to be that perceptive to pick up on how you want to be. Most women want to be attractive at some point in their relationship, or that their partner looks at them in a way that they seem to be attractive. Whether it's attracted to their brain, attracted to their body, it doesn't make a difference. They do want to be attractive. We're never going to get it right as guys. I'm just going to be, as a guy, I can say I don't think we can ever get it completely right.
Listen, every man, to some degree in his core, and this is why I'm going, we can be all the things that we want to be perceived to be in terms of intelligence, in terms of whatever you feel your greatest attribute is, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, your ability to speak socially. But I'm just saying, let's not run away from the base and the core of who we are from a biological standpoint. Men, every man is King Kong.
We're physical.
Right, and we gotta have our damsel in distress. Be the that we will take with us to the top of the Empire State Building and take on some planes and possibly die. That's what we do. So I'm just saying, like, just Jesus, man. Like when you look at some of them female wrestlers, and I said it, I think I did say it on the pod at one point. Yo, as she was on Mad TV, yo, I wanted the China doll. Now I know a lot of dudes will go, ooh, because she had some real manly-like physical features compared to some of the other women who, you know, they had the machismo because of the wrestling swagger and attitude, but they were a little bit more softer in certain areas. But, you know, that's part of the freaking me a little bit, you know? Because I feel like I could beat China, but maybe I might not. And the idea that she could force herself on me and I could fight her off, but maybe lose the fight, that's sexy to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you look at some of these women, and it's like, at the end of the day, what I notice too is like, again, and I'm trying to toe the line, and I want to say again, respectful. We know you have to be respectful and whatnot, but this is the life you've chosen. So if Vince McMahon comes up with these storylines where for whatever reason your top is being snatched off, or you're being exploited, or water's being thrown on you, and I gotta admit, some of the footage, for lack of better words, was cringe-esque. Because Vince McMahon and that whole character he created, the bad boss.
Mr. McMahon.
Mr. McMahon, the way he would lash out, like that one moment they show where he was with the girl in the tunnel and he's yelling at her, and at one point he slaps the drink. I can't remember if he slapped the drink out of her hand or he poured some of his drink on her and then threw the cup. And the way that he was screaming at her. And I went, damn, if you didn't know anything about this and knew that this is part of the theatrics, that's hard, that's tough to watch.
Well, I think the women had a huge problem with him because he would, they weren't doing exactly what he wanted to do, he would write the storylines in a way that didn't benefit them. Mm-hmm. But it benefited the other wrestler then. It's very tough, man. I don't know. You know, they should have had, if this is the, you know, for it to be true entertainment and for it to get away from that, I would have thought there would be like a writer's room where they're like, you know, there's like 3 people in there pitching ideas and trying to figure out how to make it happen. But this is all happening on this one guy's head, basically. That's a lot.
But at the same time, you've read the script. No one is forcing you to do this.
No,
you can opt out, and if you've gotten past the point that you went, I'm gonna do this, knowing what you know is in the context, well then don't come crying later.
No, well there was one didn't want to give up her belt, and she didn't do it, and somebody else didn't want to do the storylines. His daughter, he didn't make his daughter do all the storylines. She said that there was one.
But that's his daughter.
Yeah, but if you know, you would think that you would treat. You would think that if it's family, like it's supposed to be family, that you would treat the other actresses and wrestlers, because part acting, part wrestling, like family. And if there's something that would seem too over the top and they're not comfortable with it, as the father figure, which he is the head of the whole thing, you would say, okay, well, let's take another look at this. Let's see how else we can do it. Now, if he had to do that for every single one of his performers, that'd be really tough. That'd be, you know, you're trying to do a show. They're trying to do how they say they're wrestling every night.
Right.
There's shows every night. I don't know that you have time for that. That's why I'm saying I think I would need, as I'm looking at this, one of the things that I think would improve it would be a writer's room and some people that were, people that were, you know, a representation of men and women, so that women would be representative. In a pot could have some say in what they were doing. I think they would be better because it's when it's one person that's going to decide what your storyline's going to be. That's kind of rough. I mean, yeah, but he has it's proven and effective. I mean, it's doing well, but we're moving into a different category. He's not there anymore. It's getting bigger. If we're going to continue down this line, yeah, I think there should be a writer's room. I think there should be, these ideas should be, kind of more hashed out, not just the idea. One was where he was going to have McMahon was supposed to be having an affair with his own daughter. So, and they didn't do that one. That's good. If it was a writer's room, it probably wouldn't got past the first couple thoughts. So I'm just thinking out loud on that. Because it's if you were how many wrestlers did he have at that time? Hundreds.
Yeah.
And one guy is coming up with all the storylines for this. That's a lot.
Was McMahon wrong for continuing the show after Bret Hart's brother Owen Hart's death? Because I like the point Bret brought up when he said, "What if that was your son, Mr. McMahon? What if that was Shane McMahon? Would you have continued the show? If he's splattered all over the ring and his blood is still on the mat?"
That's kind of where I was going to go right now when I was thinking how to say it. His point was the point of the wrestling league was that no one saw it, so that it could go on, and the show is the show and it's supposed to go on. That being said, his blood's on the canvas, and they're going to have to wrestle in the canvas. Not to mention that all the wrestlers know what happened, and they're going to go out. They have to go out there and perform through that. Yeah, I think he made a decision based on the show must go on, like the entertainment, the circuit, the circus. The show must go on. If it's family, and we got back to this, we said this several times, it's family. If everybody's part of this family, there's no way the show goes on. I think you turn on the lights, you say that something horrible and tragic has happened, you ask the people to leave, and you refund the money, and then you take care of what needs to be taken care of. The fact that his blood's on the, and then they showed it, and they showed that there was blood over there on the edge of the wrestling rink mat. Nah, man, I don't know. But the other question is, he did say that the show must go on. The wrestlers could have just said, and this is when you have your most power, right then. Go, nah, we're not going out. He died. Vince, you got to...
I think that speaks a little bit to what Vince McMahon's aura was, that he, and they kept saying how he kind of lived up to that character. Like, he was intimidating.
Yeah.
He was powerful. He held your future in his hands. So whether it's that or, yeah, you're one of the lady wrestlers who don't want to go along storyline, what are the repercussions?
Well, I think, though, listen, I'm not going to put it on I don't want to put it just on the wrestlers. And I'm not going to put it on one person. But this is, again, when I go back to, would you make the right decision if you had the moment to make the right decision, would you? And maybe the undercard guys, the lower guys on the wrestling level, maybe if they walked off, they're going to get fired, or they're not going to be welcomed back into the league or into his league. But if the top guys at the time go, Vince, there's no way we can go out there. This is one of ours, and he just passed and he landed. We heard it. Maybe no one saw it, but we heard it. Now we know what's happening. We can't go out there. If four of those guys would have stood up and said, "Nah, we can't do it," it's over. It has to be canceled. Now, in the heat of the moment, though, when you're going and this horrible thing happens, and that the other side of it, would he want the show to go on? I don't know that that at his level he's really thinking about the show. And I mean, he's not the top tier guy. Is he thinking about the show? I don't know if he's thinking about the show. I understand the idea that you got to go up on stage, that sometimes maybe it's better to go out, and because what are you going to do besides that? Just be depressed? I know that when my dad passed, I was happy to be on stage that next night. Not the 2 nights later, I was on stage. I was happy to be on stage. So sometimes it's better. That's why I have a hard time answering. If it was his, what I would have liked to have heard in this thing? This is what I would have liked to have heard. I would have liked to have heard that Vince McMahon got all the wrestlers together and go, listen, I want the show to go on, but I can't make you guys go out there after what happened. You tell me what you want to do. Vote on it, and I'll do whatever you say. That's a leader, though. Do you know what I mean, though?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Listen, man, and when you say that's a leader right there, it's ironic that how many times have we talked about Trump's ability to be a leader? And it's ironic because Trump was also part of that whole celebrity wrestling cameo fiasco, you know? So, and which is to say, there's no doubt that I don't believe that Trump and McMahon weren't friends.
No, they were definitely friends.
And they had that, they both had that same narcissistic, I run the world, my is the biggest in the room energy.
I have 3 notes on this, and one of them is, boy, doesn't McMahon and Trump remind you of the same guy?
Yes.
Not necessarily the same person, but the same family. Let's say that. They're from the same family. There's a couple brothers in the family, and they are exactly alike. And they're both showmen, both entertainment, both businessmen.
Both narcissistic.
Both way narcissistic. Yeah. All the things add up. All the things match up. But
that's why when you say that, wouldn't that be a lead? Not for him.
No, for him, it's about doing what I say. But that's there's different kinds. There's different ways to lead, and some is that you never can show weakness, and your troops need to go. But I don't think that's weakness to say I'm at a loss because we have just lost one of our family. It happened here. All these people came to see us, and if we announce it, if you announce it, everybody's just going to be devastated and know that they came to this thing and this happened. There's a lot of different ways you can look at it. I mean, there really is, but I think the one where if your leader came in and the owner of the place said, "Man, I don't want to force anybody to go out there, but I need us all to make a decision as one. As one, we're gonna abide by your decisions. What do you guys think?" And let that decision be made that way. Because like you said, the finances at the time, yeah, it's going to cost a lot of money. Yeah, it's going to be a setback. But it's affordable.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's just it's not a money decision, and the show must go on as an idea, but this is the one sticking part that really got me, where I just can't understand how you didn't pull everybody together and try to come up with a consensus that we could all walk away from and know that we did the right things.
Dude, I remember I watched that great 30 for 30 about the XFL. And again, being the entrepreneur and taking risks, you have to tip your hat to Vince McMahon. But what I loved in this moment in that doc, the 30 for 30, that Bob Costas pointed out, and I think this is the mistake that people make sometimes. Just because you are so big in one aspect of entertainment, it's not a birthright to think that you'll be great in any aspect of entertainment. They're all different beasts. And Bob Costas said, had McMahon approached it with some humility, that might have been the right thing to do. And what he pointed to was when the XFL kicked off, the very first game, the grand opening, Vince McMahon gets on the mic, "Hey, everybody, welcome to the blah, 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 blah." And Bob Costas gave the example. He goes, he should have just been like, "Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Tonight is the first night. Sit back, relax, and welcome to the XFL." But what he did was he brought the wrestling aspect. "Welcome to the XFL." And that immediately was like, dude, this is just wrestling, but with football. And while there might have been some great ideas within what you were trying to do, you turned and I love when Bob Costa said, it's not football enough for real football fans, but it's not wrestling enough for real wrestling fans.
Right.
It's like, what is this?
Well, they didn't have the talent to play foot. We see what great football looks like, and I think this is also something that is missed though too, is we can see how good the NFL really is.
Right.
We don't have anything really to compare it to. The NFL is the NFL. It's not. It's such. Every position is so intricate, and it needs to be played at its highest level. And so when they say there's only so many people that can play this game, it's true. There really is only so many people that are at that level to play this game. And if nothing else, I thought that's what I saw came out of it. But as far as you said, like Bob Costas said, yeah, it wasn't good enough to be football, and we see good football. Even during the off season, we still want at least good football, not terrible football, and not over the top like you're the best. No one wants to hear someone come out and say I'm the biggest, baddest bully on the block, and then you blow on them and they fall down. That's not what they want to see, and that's basically how that worked out. And like you said, these guys though, when you're this much, I don't like put it into that term right now. But when your ego is so big that you and you have a proof of concept that has worked, you come out there and you sell it. It's the biggest thing, That's how you sell it. You don't want to act like you're asking for permission for it. And Costas is right. If he would have said, "Hey, this is our first inaugural season. We're going to get better every year. This game's going to grow, and it's going to continue to grow." To them, to a lot of those guys, it's like asking permission not to be the best. They have to always be the best. They were never the best. You grow into the best. You got to grow into the best. So it's crazy that he addressed it that way.
Well, they showed a clip where he was doing a press conference before they went underway. And he said the words to me that are always a kiss of death. And I've learned this, which is why, again, when people go, Aries, man, you the GOAT, you this, you that, I almost cringe because I go, dude, when you take yourself that serious, that's when life goes, well, let me show you this. And when he said, we will not fail, I went, oh. And I'm not trying to say don't believe in yourself, because you have to believe in yourself. Lord knows Muhammad Ali believed in himself. But Muhammad Ali also displayed so much humility.
He did.
Whereas McMahon is just so arrogant, where I just go, it feels like the universe and karma and the stars align to go, you need a slice of humble pie. So when he said, we will not fail, with that kind of machismo, I went, oh, you just f***ed yourself.
Yeah, it left him nowhere to go. You got to have some kind of wiggle room, especially when you're putting up a brand new product. But he went right to TV with it, and he had to. But you would have thought, I would have taken, I don't know. What I would have done would have been completely different, other than I would have tried to develop players and look for good players or find but on a team, and these guys aren't going to get paid as much as NFL players. It's a very different, what they're trying to do with the XFL. Thank you. Anytime you try to do that, it's difficult. The only time that it was even close is when there was the NBA and the ABA.
ABA, yeah.
And that was close because they were still at the same time. It was still their ABA came after, but the league hadn't exploded with these unbelievable players yet. It would be like if you try to start an upstart NBA today, like an offshoot of the NBA, it wouldn't look even close to what the NBA does. So,
right.
No.
And what I found fascinating too was because, again, the 80s was my era, but after that I fell off. But I didn't know that they kind of defined it by eras, and I forget what they called the Hulk Hogan era. But then they said there was the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
And then they got into what was called the PG era. And that's when they toned everything down. It wasn't as, sexually suggestive. It wasn't as violent. And they said that was also around the time when they started to showcase more women. And I wrote, yes, because women are just so much more fun. Isn't that ironic that they called it the PG era? And when the women come in, shit gets toned down. The sexual tone is gone. It's not as violent. All the things that fed to the male demographic. How ironic. The PG era. Boo!
Yeah.
And then they went on to do the where they pander, and some guy with his tucked between his thighs, looking like he got a vagina, goes, and you know, and the women were more athletic. Really? Really? Hand in your man card, you. You have to say that, and the women are more athletic. Really, really, really? So the foundation that wrestling has been built upon is because of women jumping off the turnbuckle and slamming themselves into tables?
With the women, I would have used the word, they could have been maybe more graceful.
Yeah, because that's what men like.
You know what men don't like? And this is the problem with wrestling. This is the problem with boxing. This is the problem with women in sports in a lot of different ways for men. Men don't like seeing women get beat up. It's in our DNA to be a protector of women. That's kind of throughout the history. That's what has evolved. That we have that in us. That we are there. That's our calling. Until recently, until modern times, we didn't have an equal footing, which we have now because we don't have to hunt to go get our food all the time. We don't have to go kill a woolly mammoth to bring home food. We don't have to go out into the jungles to defend, to ward off attack animals and other tribes and keep you safe. We don't do that now, but that's our DNA throughout the history of on the planet. And I'm not saying there weren't women warriors. There were. It's the exception, as Aries likes to say.
The white tigers.
But this is what we do, what we have done, and it's in our DNA. So when we're seeing you guys get beat up, it's hard for us to get into it the same way. I understand that you have the right to do that, and you can show your physical prowess by doing that and still being 100% woman, all beautiful, all everything that you want to be, intelligent, all those things. But for us, when we see it, we're like, she's getting hit. They're hitting her. That's our initial reaction.
Well, how about when it's woman on woman, though? Like, I mean, but that's what it is. Yeah. I mean, they showed a couple clips where some dudes would slam some broads. But
we never want
it's women versus women.
Yeah, but we don't ever really want to see women. Like, when a guy gets beat up and you see it, like, if we saw a fight, and when we're watching fights, like boxing matches, and you see a guy get hit in the jaw, and that the mouth guard comes flying out, and you see blood starts. That's not what we want to see when we see two women fighting.
Exactly, because that speaks to our primordial. That's who we are.
That's us.
Yeah, man. Dude, I love this moment with a guy who worked really closely with Vince throughout pretty much the whole journey and was personal friends with him. He was asked how he felt about the doc. And he said he hated the doc because it was unbalanced and only had a bunch of gotcha moments to make him look bad here and there. Then he proceeded to talk about how Vince took care of his wife when she had cancer, got her the best doctors, the best treatment, and he was like, she was given a 4-year life expectancy. That was 24 years ago. So, and up until this point, you know, again, I'm recognizing the legacy of who he is and what made him so great and unique in regards to this. But then when you hear about these accusations, you go, Jesus. But then again, you hear that story and you go, well, he obviously wasn't all bad. He had a great heart, but this is where the line gets blurred. It's almost like you can have the best heart in the world and have the best intentions in the world. If you're doing the things that he's accused of doing, that kind of cancels it.
Yeah. It does, except for that guy. It doesn't, because it does. That's not the representation that he saw from Vince. He saw someone that saved his wife's life and made his life better.
Right.
So, you know, your perspective also changes. But yes, you're not. It's hard not to judge you at the worst thing that you've done in life. But you're not just the worst thing that you've done in life.
Yeah.
It's a tough balance. I don't know how to balance that. And I think we all have to do it in our own, but just because people will do some bad things, but is that who they are? Is that all that they are? And Vince is, you know, I think the more narcissistic you become, it's easier to judge you solely on the bad things that you've done because you kind of sold yourself as that person. That I'm unapologetic. This is what I do. This is who I am. So it's hard to give you a pass on anything that you've done when you're that person.
You know, I never would want to be that person because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, it's scumbag. That's why I said, as much as I'm ragging on the women and talking shit, I can't emphasize enough. I'm dead ass when I preface it by going, I'm serious. Respect. Women are to be respected. They're to be treated properly, and shouldn't be violated in any form, physically, mentally, verbally. So I'm serious with that. But I'm also just I'm like, not that I would ever abuse that kind of power if I had it. But I want to know, I kind of want to know what that feels like to be that powerful, because I'm sitting here going, I'm speaking from an experience, but I truly believe when you become as powerful and successful and as wealthy as a Vince McMahon, you have to take on a godlike complex. You have to believe you're indestructible. How else would you explain that kind of behavior? You have to believe you're never going to get caught because you're too big to get caught. Because I'm sitting there going, anybody with any ounce of common sense, you don't say to yourself, yo, I'm breaking the law. I shouldn't be doing this. I could get in trouble. You're not stupid. You know the difference between right and wrong. Yo, if I get caught, if this decides to make a problem for me based on these type of allegations, yo, I'm cooked. As powerful as Vince McMahon was, he had to step down. He had to remove himself as chairman because the allegations were too serious. And I'm just going, you gotta believe you are God and untouchable to think that you could just get away with that. Again, I would never want to abuse that power, but what does that feel like?
I don't know. You know, Jordan Peterson, whether people like him or not, I happen to like him. I loved when he said that you should be, how did he say it? It's not angry, not that you should always have that aggression. You should always have the power, that powerful aggression, that you should have that in you. And what makes you a righteous or a good person is that you can control that. That you can control that within you. Because if you don't have power and you're not aggressive, you didn't control anything. If you don't have any power, if you're limited on your power and you're not wielding any, doesn't make you a good person. It means that you were weak and you weren't able to do it. But to be strong, to be a very strong person, to have that ability to take people out and not use it, that's what makes you strong. That's what makes you a valid, a good person, is because you have the ability to and to wield that kind of power, yet you don't. And I think that these guys, when you get to a certain place where things just, it does seem a lot of these people that are falling under these allegations now are people that were able to get away with it, and they were wielding their power in not a good way, and so they deserve this. But it's also, they had the power. But there are people out there that have power that don't do those things, and we focus on the bad. We never focus on the good ones.
Dude, I'd be too. You know. And listen, being 49 years old and I'm still trying to reach the top of the mountain. Maybe if I was, that's why I say I'm speaking from inexperience, because maybe if I was Vince McMahon and was born into it, my dad was, into it, and I kind of came up as a young person and this is all I've known, then maybe that's different because I don't know no better. But from where I'm standing, I'd be too scared of getting caught, man. I just would be too scared of going, I would always ask that. Yo, what if you get caught? What if you get caught? All of this goes away. Potential jail time. Your name, slander. You're ruined. I would think about that.
I think for a long time, there was no fear for powerful men. So the idea of getting caught, thinking about getting caught was, well, we'll get it fixed. Now there's
We'll get it fixed or we'll make it go away.
Yeah, now there's consequences. So now powerful men may actually wield their sword differently. I meant that sword. I meant it both ways.
Speaking of which, I got to go back to what you said when you said something about, God, now I'm up because I'm trying to remember the context. But basically you said something about if somebody blow on you, you'll fall down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if a woman blowing you the right way, you going to fall down. The knees give out, son. A good blowing will turn them knees into jelly, man.
Got to hold on to something.
Yeah.
But Aries, though, I do feel like the times have changed, and I'm not going to, I don't want to put this on men can do better. Let's put it that way. Men can do better. But throughout history, women have used their womanly wilds to get some of the things that they want. And some powerful men have fallen prey to that as well. And so they think, I don't want to say that women are I want to say it this way. If a man who might be very simple thinks of this is how it works, I'm powerful, so women do this for me so they can get what they want, and that's just the way that it is. And I think for a long time, the powerful men felt that, and all women were put in that category. Some women will do what they want to do to get what they want.
But I like how you said that, womanly wilds, because it's like, all right, let's not act like it's just, I mean, I'm sure the majority of it is men, because men have always been the ones in power, but it's no different from if a man's using his power to get what he wants and women use their womanly wilds and play that coy, I'm just a girl, to get what they want. What's the difference?
But that was a trade-off, but not all women fall into that category. And again, I go back to where men are simple, and I think that they feel that is what I think it became, I'm not giving them a pass. What I'm saying is I think that they came to an idea that that's just the way that it is, and this is the way it works for me. Because I've been able to put myself in this position, and all men in this position get that. I think that's, and a lot of men that they might know have been in that position and got the same treatment, so they just assume that this is the way that it works. I'm not condoning it. I'm not giving it a pass for it. I'm just saying that there is some equal, I'm not even going to say equal, but there is some culpability on some things that women have done as well. I just can't put this 100% men are just bad because they take advantage of women. Women take advantage of men too.
Right. All right.
But in these positions of power, and I like that today when you're in a position of power, even though sometimes like you might be in a consensual relationship, but if you're the person that wields the power in that working relationship, but then you have to take that into account. But what if you want to be in a relationship? You're in the position of power, so the woman has to leave her employment to go somewhere else so that you can have the relationship? Is that what would need to happen then?
Right.
I don't know. I think we're on, and I think we would like to just say that we can be better and we can be trusted, but I think that we have a lot of things that still need to be worked out. If we are all equal and we're all in the same workplace and we all want to be equal, how do we go about this? Because if you're on the same level, you can date, but if somebody's above you, how does that work? How does that work? You basically say, well, we can't continue with this relationship unless you leave your job, because I can't leave my job because I'm the one who has the upper position. Why would I leave this job?
Right.
So you're going to have to go somewhere else so that we can so that we can have a relationship. I don't know how this all really plays out. What do you got to sign contracts? This is 100% agreeable.
Right.
But I think that's where we're going. I think that is where we're going. If you want to maintain your job and you don't want to both get fired, and I'm not saying for the level of Vince McMahon because he was on the very, very top, but if there's other levels in management and hierarchy. If you're above the person, do you have to fill out some kind of paperwork that says you don't hold the company liable and that this is completely consensual and you both agreed this and you have to meet HR? I know that there's places that they do this.
Well, when this doc first opened up and they established they said former wife. Until they dove deeper into this, I thought he was still married, but now I understand. It's hard to maintain a marriage when you're him and you got part of your storylines is a broad sitting on a desk with both her legs cocked over your shoulders.
But he's
And you
writing
talking
this.
Yeah. And the other one where they show him with some young 20-something-year-old broad, he's deep tongue kissing her while rubbing all up on her ass, hand up her skirt. Like, how does a marriage survive this?
But I'm glad you. I don't know how it survives that, but I like that you're talking about this because at one point when he's like kind of not a bad looking guy doing this,
Yeah.
but look at him right now when he left. Even when
Oh, dude, it looked like he had 2 sausage links on his lips.
dude, he is struggling. That steroid stuff kicks in.
Man, I'm telling you, dude, and I'm not exaggerating. Picture, folks, 2 Jimmy Dean sausage links on a white face because his face was white, but I'm like, why is this lips so grayish brown? And I mean, it looked like he had 2 Jimmy Dean sausage links on his face, dog.
It's not a good. He isn't looking healthy. I don't know, man. It opens up a lot of questions for me on how we go forward in life. I know that the idea would be to be a better person, but how to be a better person is the question. And what is the landscape in the future between male and female relations in the workplace? Because where do you meet people? If you could meet people out, you could meet people through your friends. You can meet people at work. You can meet people at church, synagogue, temple, whatever you wanted to go call it. But if it isn't, but where do we spend most of our time? At work.
Right.
So relationships are always going to bloom at work. And how do you navigate that now in this new age? I think there's going to be some hard rules coming up.
Yeah. This is a great doc, man.
Check it out. But they really don't go into his. They just said that allegations, and then he steps down, then he comes back, and then allegations again.
Right.
So I just want to say we didn't get into the. We kind of, on the orbit of these inappropriate sexual activities here, but we don't really get that from this doc. So what you know about McMahon, I haven't really followed the McMahon case that much, so I don't really know much about it. So I'm just talking about what's in this documentary as I spoke about going forward. I don't understand all the things that Vince McMahon did. I don't. Did you pay attention to any of the other stuff that's going on about him?
Nah, I didn't really know about any of it till I saw this doc. I mean, I really was oblivious to all of it.
I knew that he was in trouble and that he stepped down. That's all I knew. But
Right.
I think some of the problem is everybody's in trouble. So many guys are in trouble right now that I don't want to say that it's normal, but it's almost like, do you really run out to investigate this guy? Because and the character that he played, he seemed horrible. So of course it wasn't like a big step for me.
But they always say, particularly with him, it was a character, but how much of that character was truly him? And he wasn't that far removed from it.
Yeah, some people say differently, but no, it doesn't seem like it was. And you know what? Let's put it this way. To a lot of people who knew him and were friendly with him, that wasn't the character. But I think a lot of the women that might have worked with him, that is the character. That is who he is. And
Right.
we're all different to different people. We are different to everyone. How we interact with everybody is different. We don't interact with everybody the exact same way. So
Yeah.
it's very possible that the character that Mr. McMahon character is how a lot of those women, especially the women that are filing grievances right now, this is what it is. That's who he was. He was to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be more difficult as we go forward. What else you got on there?
That's it.
That's it. You want me to give out some dates?
Before you do, man, I got to tell you, and I know that obviously next week again when we're in Orlando, we will have seen probably all 3 episodes of The Penguin and then the Joker movie, so we could talk about those 2 things. But just, and I know, you and I, our ideas or our thoughts of what we want to talk about, sometimes we plan it Sometimes we plan it and we follow through on what the plan is. Other times things happen in the news and we
Shit
might
happens.
have to put it on the back burner and redo things. But there's something I want to throw at you and I want to throw at the audience too. Because I would love it, dude, if we could one day have this on the to-do list to talk about. I ran across, when I was looking for The Penguin on HBO Max, I ran across this 6-part piece documentary called Surviving Serial Killers. Each ep is like 50 minutes. There's 6 episodes. And I know when we talked about this with Dahmer and even Richard Ramirez and some of the Times Square killer, I brought up the point about, are there any, the only black serial killer I ever heard of was the dude from Atlanta who was killing, I think, young black boys or something. But other than that, I'm saying, again, exceptions. They're white tigers. But serial killing is a white guy's game. Dude, there was an episode, I think it's episode 2. I know you never heard of these dudes, the Koch brothers. 2 black brothers, but they were actual blood brothers out of Toledo, Ohio, that were serial killers. Man, these was brutal. Like, I'd never heard of black serial killers. And these 2, oh my God.
I just like how you said these serial killers were brutal. Like there's some nice.
Oh, there's some
Flower
diet serial
givens.
killers. Yeah, but no. I mean, these was, their thing was, just real quick, they would make women take off their clothes, they would rape them, then they'd make them get redressed, and then kill them, stab them with ice picks. One of them even raped a 12-year-old girl, hit her over the head with a cinder block. Like, dude, I'm like, holy. But it's called Surviving Serial Killers. So, folks, you got the heads up. I don't know when, but maybe one day Andy and I will get to this because, this was heavy, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I need that much depression in my life right now, but we can get to it.
Yeah, I mean, because somebody wrote do it, and if we would have done the emails, you'd have heard it. Somebody went, I love when you guys do sports, movies, entertainment, and documentaries. But for the love of God, could y'all please stop with the politics? And just because of that, we're going to keep going. It's not going to stop. Nothing stops. You know where that's from?
I hear it, but I can't put it.
Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
When Andy was trying to tell the warden that if he don't tell the truth about his wife's real killer, that he was going to stop running the scams for him. And he goes, no, it doesn't stop. Nothing stops. Yeah.
There's an interesting doc that I'll tell you about afterwards that I think would be fun to talk about. But here we go.
Mention it now.
It's
That way the audience might be able to check it out.
It's Will and Harper.
Will and Harper. Is this the with Ferrell?
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
It's a movie or a doc?
It's a doc.
Who's the other one? Ferrell. Who's
Will
Harper?
Ferrell and Harper Steele. Harper is a trans woman.
Oh shit!
And was one of the head writers on SNL, and was married, had kids, and then decided to transition. And this is about Will and her going on a road trip across country to some of the places that they've been, because apparently when Harper was a man, Harper, I can't remember Harper's name, so that's why I said when Harper was a man, would go, it was like a very like divey road truck stop kind of person, wanted to eat at diners and, and if she could still have that life. And so, and Will goes with her to help her through this journey. And it was interesting. And I think it would be interesting for, because you've talked about it before, but I think this would be an interesting watch for you. I don't know if it would be worth talking about on the podcast, but I think it might be.
Hi, Andy. I'm Tina. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I think it's it was interesting. I'm glad I watched it. There's a Studio 54 doc. It's a new doc that I think was really good too.
It's a new one?
Yeah, it's a new doc. on Studio.
On what?
I think it's on Netflix.
Make sure you let me know because I've seen the one on Netflix, but that's old.
No, this is a newer one.
Really?
I could look. Let me see real quick if I have it up here. If I have it up here, I'll tell you what it is. If I don't, I'll look it up and I'll send it to you later. No, I don't have it up here. I'll find it because I'll look at my previously watched list. Okay. You want some dates?
Give out some dates, Andy.
It was a good watch.
Yeah, it was. The McMahon thing you talking about.
Yeah, this was.
Yeah, it was a very good watch. It was a very good watch.
October 11th through the 13th, we're going to be this week when you listen to this, we're in Orlando, Florida, at either the Improv or the Funny Bone. I don't know if they renamed it. I think it's Funny Bone now.
Is it?
It might be. It's one of those two. It's Improv or Funny Bone. They had a name change.
Did it transition from Improv to Funny Bone?
It's Trans Funny Bone.
Hi, you want to hear jokes? Come on in. You can either go through the back or the front. All right, I'm sorry.
Some just so people know out there to follow us because of the comedy. Because apparently people think it's the comedy that they're listening to, and not in the politics. Which I would be just as happy not to do any more politics, to be honest with you.
Them.
No, it's not them. It's just it hurts my head. But anyway, on the comedy side, what's happened in the comedy industry is that there was a lot of improvs before Levity owned the Improv, and Levity is trying to regain control over how improvs are run, much as the way that they should be, because they own the concept and they want it to be run a certain way. And if they're not going to be run that way, they need to change to other names too. And so a lot of the improvs that were owners outside of the Improv have changed to other names, which many of the ones that Arius and I do are Funny Bones now. So that's why I just gave you this little information so it doesn't sound like it's coming out of nowhere. This is not anything that we had to deal with. It's just something that's happening in the business. So welcome to our business. October 11th to the 13th, the Improv, Orlando, Florida, or Funny Bone will be out there. October 17th, we're at the Vancouver Playhouse in Vancouver, British Columbia. October 18th through the 20th, we're going to be at the Spokane Comedy Club in Spokane, Washington. October 25th to the 27th, we're at the Improv in Tampa, Florida, which I still believe is the Improv, but it could be a Funny Bone as well. October 31st through November 3rd, we'll be at the Chicago Improv in Schaumburg, which is an Improv. November 8th, Hawaii Theater in Honolulu, Hawaii. We'll be there for one night only. November 15th through the 17th, we'll be at the West Nyack in Levity Live. West Nyack Levity Live. That one didn't change. That's a Levity Live, and that's in West Nyack, New York. November 21st to the 24th, we're going to be at the Improv in Ontario, California. That one is an Improv for sure. November 29th, Texas Trust CU Theater in Grand Prairie, Texas. That's one night only. December 13th to the 15th, Raleigh Improv in Cary, North Carolina. That is it's not in Raleigh. It is in Cary, but it is an Improv. December 19th to the 22nd, Helium Comedy Club in Philadelphia. December 27th, Pikes Peak Center for the Performing Arts in Colorado Springs, and December 28th at the Paramount in Denver, Colorado. That's where we are to the end of the year.
Spears and Steinberg.
Thanks for listening to the Spears and Steinberg podcast. For more information on where to find us on the internet, visit spearsburgpod.com.